Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive with us. You ever get that feeling like everything's just getting a little too easy? It's like we order takeout with our phones, we can binge watch anything without getting off the couch, and our biggest problem is what filter to use for our vacation pictures. Okay, maybe that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but I think you get the idea. So today we're going to be diving into The Comfort Crisis by Michael Easter, and we're going to be unpacking why all this comfort might actually be doing us more harm than good.
It's funny you should say that because one of the things that I find really interesting about Easter's book is that he kind of takes this idea that we all have like comfort equals happiness. And he really flips it on its head. He's really pushing this argument that this constant search for ease is actually contributing to a lot of the issues that we're seeing today. Things like anxiety, depression, and even some physical problems that are popping up.
Yeah, it's a pretty crazy idea when you really think about it. He talks about how we're living in like the most comfortable time in human history, and yet we're seeing more and more people struggling with these kinds of problems. I mean, can you imagine what our ancestors would think about our heated blankets and our noise-canceling headphones? Would they even be impressed, or would they be healthier without all that stuff? And I think that's a question that Easter really wants us to consider.
Right. Absolutely. And he does such a good job of highlighting this kind of mismatch between the way our bodies are designed and the way we live now. Our bodies and our minds just haven't really caught up to how quickly technology has advanced and how comfortable we've made our lives.
Right. It's almost like we're still programmed for a world where we had to, hunt and gather for survival.
Yeah.
But now we're dealing with this reality where everything is available instantly and we
Yeah.
have endless options. It kind of makes you think, has our environment actually outpaced our own evolution?
That's a really good question. And, to kind of drive his point home, Easter actually takes us on a pretty wild journey. I mean, he literally goes and spends a month in the Alaskan Arctic living like our hunter-gatherer ancestors. Talk about getting out of your comfort zone.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
Just reading about that. And the part about his flight into the wilderness had me on the edge of my seat. Apparently, the plane was so small and rickety that he could actually see the fabric moving on the wings. Can you imagine being that far out of your element?
it's kind of amazing, though, because I think that's such a powerful way to show people that discomfort isn't always a bad thing. It can actually be something that helps us learn and grow. When we think back to those hunter-gatherer societies that you were just mentioning, they face challenges and discomforts all the time that we can barely even imagine.
And yet, studies show that these communities often have an incredibly strong sense of purpose and belonging. They're resilient.
Yeah.
They're connected to each other. It really makes you wonder what we're missing by trying to avoid discomfort all the time.
That's the million-dollar question, and it's something that Easter really digs into throughout the book. One of the concepts he introduces is this idea called prevalence-induced concept change. It's a bit of a mouthful, but essentially it means that as we get better at solving problems, the things that we consider problems actually become smaller.
Oh, okay, I'm not gonna lie, that sounds a little complicated. Could you maybe give me an example?
Yeah, so let's say you go out and you buy a brand new car. You're going to baby that thing, right?
Hmm.
Every little scratch, every little ding is going to feel like a huge deal. But eventually, as you spend more time with the car and you get used to it, those imperfections matter less and less.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But I'm still not quite sure how that connects back to this whole comfort crisis idea.
Well, think of it this way. Our lives today are designed to get rid of those scratches. We have apps for everything. We live in perfectly climate-controlled homes, and we have access to endless entertainment. There's not really a need to struggle with anything anymore.
So you're saying by constantly removing all those little discomforts, we're actually making ourselves less equipped to handle the bigger challenges that life throws our way.
Exactly. And this is where Easter's experience in Alaska gets really fascinating. You see, he talks about how one of the hardest parts of hunting caribou was actually the waiting. Boredom became this unexpected obstacle.
Yeah, I can totally see that. Even just waiting for anything these days can be a test of patience, especially with how used we are to instant gratification. Did he ever talk about how he coped with all that downtime in the Alaskan wilderness?
He did actually. He talks about how when he wasn't immediately reaching for his phone or a book to distract himself, that boredom actually led to some of his deepest thinking.
Wow, that's kind of cool when you think about it. Like when we're constantly bombarded with information and stimulation, do our minds ever really get a chance to just wander?
That's exactly it. And there's actually a growing body of research on the benefits of boredom.
Really?
Yeah, it turns out that allowing ourselves to feel bored can spark creativity and self-awareness. There's even something researchers call the 3-day effect.
The 3-day effect. Okay, now you have to tell me more about that.
So studies have shown that spending just 3 days immersed in nature, even if it's just a local park, can do wonders for your creativity and stress levels.
That's amazing. You really don't need to go full on Alaskan wilderness to reap the benefits.
Exactly. Just a little bit of nature can make a big difference. And speaking of discomfort, Easter doesn't just stop at boredom and cold exposure. He also delves into a topic that I think a lot of us try to avoid: hunger.
Okay, that's interesting. Most of us try to avoid feeling hungry, especially with all the snacks and treats that are available everywhere we go.
Yeah.
What's Easter's take on hunger?
Well, he argues that it's not just about what we eat, but how and why we eat that really impacts our health. And he talks about this really fascinating nutrition expert, Trevor Cachet, who focuses on understanding our natural hunger cues.
Hunger cues. What does that even mean?
It's basically those internal signals our bodies send us to tell us when we're actually hungry versus when we're just bored or stressed or something else. Cachet argues that a lot of processed foods with their engineered flavors and textures really mess with these cues. We end up stuck in this cycle of craving and overeating without ever really addressing the root cause of our hunger.
That makes sense. It's like we've been conditioned to ignore our body's natural signals and just rely on external cues like meal times or portion sizes. So what's Cashie's solution?
He's a big proponent of mindful eating, basically tuning into those hunger and fullness signals, paying attention to how different foods make us feel, and developing a healthier relationship with food overall.
And does it actually work?
Well, Easter gives this really interesting example of Cashie's work with a Navy SEAL. And this is someone who is incredibly disciplined, physically fit, but he was stuck in this pattern of restrictive eating, always counting calories, battling cravings.
That's so interesting because it shows that this isn't just about willpower. It's about rewiring those deeper habits and thoughts around food.
Exactly. And through mindful eating, Kashi was able to help this seal break free from that restrictive cycle and develop a more sustainable approach to nutrition, one that actually ended up enhancing his performance.
That's pretty amazing. It kind of makes you wonder if this whole obsession with dieting and restriction might actually be making the problem worse.
It's definitely something to consider. And while we're on the topic of physical challenges, Easter's Alaskan adventures actually offer another surprising insight: the benefits of carrying heavy loads.
Okay, now this is where I'm a little skeptical. I mean, I go out of my way to avoid carrying heavy bags. What's so great about lugging around extra weight?
Well, Easter found that carrying those heavy packs day after day, while definitely uncomfortable, had some unexpected benefits for his strength and endurance.
So you're saying that discomfort can actually make us physically stronger?
In a way, yes. I mean, think about it. Our ancestors didn't have the luxury of suitcases with wheels or grocery delivery. Carrying heavy things was just part of everyday life.
And now our modern lifestyles have pretty much engineered all of that natural movement out of our daily routines.
Exactly. And as it turns out, our bodies still crave that type of movement, even if our minds resist the discomfort.
So how do we incorporate a bit more of that healthy discomfort into our lives, especially if we're not exactly planning on hunting caribou in Alaska anytime soon?
Well, Easter talks about this thing called rucking. Essentially, it's just walking with a weighted backpack.
So like hiking, but with extra weight?
Pretty much. It sounds simple, but it actually has a ton of benefits. It's great for your cardiovascular health, it builds strength and endurance, and it can even help with back pain. It's a perfect example of how embracing a little discomfort can lead to some pretty significant physical improvements.
I'm starting to see a pattern here. Maybe we've been too quick to dismiss discomfort as something to be avoided at all costs.
It's definitely something to think about. And Easter takes this exploration of discomfort even further. Remember that part in the book where he has this really intense encounter with death during his trip?
Oh yeah, that was a pretty stark reminder of just how fragile life can be, even for someone as prepared and experienced as Easter.
Absolutely. And this experience really becomes a springboard for him to explore how different cultures view and cope with mortality. He even travels to Bhutan, which is known for its focus on happiness and its very different approach to death.
Okay, Bhutan. This sounds really intriguing. What did he learn from their perspective?
So in Bhutan, they have this practice called mitakpa, and it basically involves consciously thinking about death, not in like a morbid way or anything, but more as a way to gain perspective and really appreciate life.
It's so different from how we usually deal with death here. Like, we tend to avoid even talking about it.
Exactly. And what Easter found was that by kind of leaning into that discomfort of facing their own mortality, the Bhutanese people actually cultivate this really deep sense of peace and purpose. It makes you wonder if our avoidance of death actually contributes to some of the anxiety and uncertainty we feel.
It's definitely something to think about, that's for sure. It seems like every chapter in this book challenges us to rethink our relationship with comfort. So besides rucking and maybe scheduling in some boredom, what other uncomfortable habits did Easter explore?
One that really stuck with me was cold exposure. We touched on it a bit with his experience in Alaska, but he goes even deeper into the science of cold and how it can actually be really good for us.
Okay, now this I gotta hear. Most people I know crank up the heat the second it drops below 70 degrees. What's so great about being cold?
Well, Easter uses the example of the Ama divers in Japan. These women free dive for pearls and shellfish in freezing cold water, often wearing nothing but thin wetsuits.
Oh, wow. That must be tough.
Seriously. And get this, research shows that they have incredibly low rates of chronic diseases, they have faster metabolisms, and their heart health is through the roof. Turns out being cold activates the special kind of fat in our bodies called brown fat, which burns calories to keep us warm.
So you're telling me I can boost my metabolism just by being cold?
Pretty much. And the best part is you don't need to become an alma diver to see the benefits. Easter suggests simple things like finishing your showers with cold water or just spending time outside in cooler weather.
Okay, I can actually get behind that. I
Ah,
might have to give that cold shower thing a shot. Now, I remember something in the book about discomfort and genetics. Did that have to do with these amadivers?
actually, no. For that part, Easter went to Iceland. Scientists are really interested in Iceland because they have this unique gene pool that's been pretty isolated for centuries. It's like a giant natural experiment for studying how lifestyle and environment affect our genes.
A giant natural experiment. That's kind of cool.
Right. And what they're finding is that our genes aren't necessarily our destiny. Our choices or surroundings, even the stress we experience, can actually change how our genes express themselves.
So even at the DNA level, we have the power to influence our own health and well-being.
Exactly. It's not about becoming obsessed with discomfort, but finding that balance where we challenge ourselves just enough to unlock our full potential, physically, mentally, even genetically.
This deep dive has been amazing. We've covered so much ground, from the benefits of boredom to the power of cold exposure. It seems like discomfort in the right doses can actually be the key to living a more fulfilling and healthier life.
Absolutely. It's not about seeking out pain, but recognizing that sometimes our comfort zones can hold us back in ways we don't even realize.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So for everyone listening, we want to leave you with this. What's one small step outside your comfort zone that you're willing to take this week? Maybe it's trying that cold shower. Maybe it's having a difficult conversation. Or maybe it's just saying yes to something that scares you a little. Whatever it is, embrace the discomfort and see what you discover. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.